there, comic friends and fiends. It's Rob.
Jason, Slotitup 503.
And welcome to another edition of Sidekicks Talk Comics. We're going to have a great show today. We're going to talk Jason's new favorite movie, I think. Justice League, the Snyder Cut, not the Whedon-verse version. And we have some special guests with us that we're going to introduce in just a moment. So we will go ahead and jump straight into the new comic book day pickups as we say hey to the Knicks Kicks and Comics. Like I said, Knicks, Kicks, and Comics here with us, everybody. And Cardboard Crazies, of course, DJ Linx in there as well. And Small Town Collectibles is here. He's hiding out in the green room, if you know what I mean. Why don't you hit us up, Jason, with what you got this week?
Sure. It'd be real brief because I haven't actually made it to the actual LCS. I just went and picked up a few books to read. I got Harley Quinn issue 1. I've got a few other covers waiting on me at my actual LCS. This one, Teen Titans Academy. This is really, really good, actually. I was thinking it was, just going to be a quick knockoff of Strange Academy, but it's actually a really good read. And then Stray Dogs issue 2. This is a sleeper right here if you're not reading it. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, I'll flip through mine. New shirt. There you go. Garbage Pail Kids. I'll flip through mine real quick here. Let me see. I can make myself big, right? Yes, I can. So yeah, I got Screen Comics Mandalorian Season 1. Yes, this is actually still photos. It's like a storyboard. Still photos from the show with word bubbles. So crazy. I got that from my sister. She's super into Mandalorian. The chromium copies or whatever foil copies of Berserker came in. Launched the new Firefly brand new verse because, well, that's the only Whedon we're allowed to like here today. The Batman Detective Comics on the B covers because I love my B covers. Minimal trades. The black and whites on the Batmans.
Get the one with Two-Face.
No, I just got those two. The Spider-Man and the Incentive. The Dr. Aphra and the Incentive. I just realized I've got the 1 in 25s for every single one of these Dr. Aphras thus far. I've been pretty lucky there. And of course, my girl Harley, issue 1, the Derek Chew, the Incentive, and the one per store that my dealer was nice enough to pull off to the side for me. So there we are with that. Let's say hello to a couple more people and bring in our friends here. Let's see, we got we said Cardboard Crazy. This is Gary B, the casual comic guy, is here right here, the king of our Grow Together movement. And I'm going to bring in for us our guests. We got the couple superheroes, tier 1 superheroes, joining the Sidekicks today in the form of the incredible Bulk DJ Linx and the Boy Scout himself, True Blue, super Small Town Collectibles. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Good. How you guys doing?
What's going on, fellas?
Great. Well, we wanted to get together today. Jason was hot to trot, wanted to jump on the Snyder Cut and discuss that. And we delayed it. Made him delay it a week so I could watch it at least once. And then he said, I got to bring DJ in because DJ loves this. And I was like, oh, well, then I got to get 4 people because I'm OCD and I need to have a square layout. So Jimmy was nice enough to hop on here and help us out. Plus, I needed somebody to go on the Superman on the headshot cutout. So who else? So thank you for joining us today.
My question is,
my
question, Rob, is where is Gal Gadot and Ray Fisher? I see DJ. I see you. I see they were on the picture too. I showed up for Gal.
They got cut on the Rob edit.
Oh man, false advertising.
I wasn't going to put any of us in the Wonder Woman outfit because that would be a disservice to Gal Gadot, and Ray Fisher. I didn't want to whitewash him because I'd be afraid of getting put on the Whedon train there. So it's best to leave him as he is. So,
that was an awesome thumbnail.
Yeah, it was good.
Never could figure it out. Welcome to the show, Ramon Aldaz. Hey, welcome. Thanks for coming in and joining us here today. So, Jason, Snyder Cut. All I've heard from you
It's amazing.
Day it goes, how great it is. Now, before I turn it over to you, I want to say, so I made a point going into this. First, I watched the Justice League.
Justice League?
Yeah. And then after I watched the Justice League, the next day I watched the Snyderverse. Then last night I tried watching the Snyderverse again because you said, "Oh, I've watched it 3 times," and I figured, well, God damn it, I better have it fresh in my mind. So go ahead, sir. Tell us, what did you think?
I mean, honestly, it's, as a comic book fan, as a movie buff, it hit everything. It nailed everything for me. It was, I don't want to say it's my favorite movie of all time, but it's pretty damn close. For a 4-hour movie to not seem like a 4-hour movie and to be able to watch it multiple times, that should tell you enough right there. And I've never been a big DC film fan for the most part. I'm not a big fan of, like Man of Steel was okay. Batman, Superman, not really. But all the Marvel movies knock them out of the water, or knock them out of the park. And then this came along and then just hit the ball so far to the next city. Yeah, it's like you can't even exactly. So to me, it's night and day.
Okay. DJ, what'd you think?
That's a great question, Rob. Thank you for asking.
You know me, I get those hard-hitting questions with this kind of journalism right here.
I know. I thought it was phenomenal from beginning to end.
Was it straight fire?
It was super fire, hot fire, almost fire, double dare fire, blue fire, red fire, all types of fire. It was fire. I thought it was amazing from beginning to end. Just the storytelling. It's just odd because when you think of Zack Snyder, you think of spectacle, and that takes the back seat to the storytelling. But with 4 hours, it was chock full of storytelling, and we got to know the backstories of the characters. Cyborg, who's the heart of the movie. Flash, who was played for laughs in the Joss Whedon cut, who actually saves the day, and it's him that saves the world, and it's insane. I hated Flash in the other version of Justice League. In this one, he was still kind of the comic relief, but they gave him something to do as opposed to save a random family in toxic Russia. And then you got the spectacle. I thought it was amazing. I'm not married to any of these DC characters in comic book form, so I'm not really like, hey, Batman is not supposed to kill. Why is Wonder Woman smashing these heads against the wall? Like, none of that stuff bothers me. These are gods walking amongst Earth, and if they were to, flick somebody, their arm or shoulder is probably going to break, and that's the truth behind it. And just the way the film is presented, not only that aspect ratio, which I loved how it was shot in IMAX and stuff, but almost every single scene, it's a page out of a graphic novel. It's not like just your typical movie scenario. You stand on your mark. We're going to do this. The thirds rule. Every single scene is almost like a page out of a graphic novel, and I thought it was amazing from beginning to end.
Jimmy?
Oh, no, one word, epic. And I guess for me, when I sat down to watch it, I was expecting one thing and got something completely different. When I started to watch it, I thought, okay, this is going to be a remake of the original. They're going to change some music up. They're going to add some scenes to it. And that would be it. It was a completely different movie. Mm-hmm. Like, it was complete. I mean, there's some similar scenes, right? The basis of it is similar, but the depth which they went into the characters was so much better. I'm like DJ. I couldn't stand the Flash in the first one, and loved him in this one. I love the Cyborg character. He's one of the most one of the most underrated characters in comic books. I like to read his stuff. Batman and Superman. Superman shows up in a black suit. Forget about it. I mean, it was just, I don't know. For me, it was epic. I've watched it 4 times now. I've watched it individually with each one, my wife and my kids, at different times. And no, for me, it was just phenomenal. I loved it.
All right, so I didn't dislike the movie, but here's what I'm going to say. Yeah, exactly. Here it comes. So first of all, when I turned it on, I got turned off immediately as soon as I see I'm forcing you to watch it in 4:3. I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. I understand that dude was going to put it on IMAX originally, but it ain't showing anywhere except on my living room TV. And my TV isn't a 4x3 television anymore. It hasn't been for 20 years. Give me my widescreen. I don't want to watch stupid black bars on the side of it. Having said that,
I'll watch black bars on the top and bottom though.
everybody goes on. I want to say that, look, everybody's going on and on about how great it is and how much more expansive it is and everything else. And all I got to say is, yeah, it better be. It's twice the movie. If you give me twice as much time, I should be able to make it a completely different movie, make it longer and flesh things out better. So yeah, as I censor myself there, of course it is. But so what makes it better other than the fact that we go expansive into these things, the things I want to know, right? When I start to think about it. And I'll tell you, I do think of it as a completely separate film. And as I look at it though, and do comparison certain aspects that are the same between them, I do like much of what Snyder presented in how he had people interact with one another, make decisions, especially the decision about whether or not to resurrect Superman, to be a collaborative decision and discussion, and not Bruce just kind of going, I'm going to res him. I don't care what you think, you stupid woman, and go on about it, right?
That's how I make my decisions.
So from that aspect, I want to say, yes, it's a different movie. It better be. But Homeboy should be calling up DJ because he needs to still do some editing. That movie is too long in its current format. There's still stuff that could have been parsed out of it. I'm an old man. I don't want to go to the bathroom 3 times during a single movie. Once is enough if I got to get up for intermission, man.
But what would you cut out, Rob? Like if you were going to cut something out of that movie, what would you cut out?
So I
might get on board with cutting out the singing scene at the very beginning, when Aquaman disappears. But
I think that there's a lot of things in there along those lines that are just carried too far. It's not that they needed to be cut out necessarily, but we could have parsed them down. So that singing, we could have cut about 30 seconds off of it. Once he was in the water, gone. Great. You want to establish for some reason that town thinks that he's a god? Great. I mean, that is the kind of half the presence here, right? Is that Batman's the only man amongst a bunch of gods and all this stuff. They're the new old gods or whatever, and all this other fun stuff. Great. I think you could have edited down some of the stuff with Wonder Woman going down and, hopping down into the Amazon's secret lair underneath in Greece in high heels that she drops down 50 feet without breaking a heel. I think there's, when you start trimming throughout the film, just little bits of stuff to keep the pacing going, I think you can clean it up some. The fact is, at 2 hours into the film, you're still gathering everybody together.
Yeah, which was awesome.
That was one of my favorite scenes is when she went down and kind of discovered the whole, the backstory, and when she was talking to Bruce. Yeah, the whole thing. That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Rob, but here's the thing: with the Snyder Cut, he finally got his chance to show what he wanted to show us, and when he got it, he felt like the fans asked for it. So we asked for it, and he gave it to us. Mm-hmm. He gave us everything that he had out there he left it all out there. I mean,
I agree, but just because you get the opportunity to show what your vision was and all this stuff doesn't mean you need to show every piece of footage that you shot.
Yeah,
I'm just saying 3.5. I'm saying a nice tight 3.5 hours still would have been a very different movie than the initial, but maybe made the pacing a little bit different. And I think
there's also a lot of things like I don't know, like for instance, did you notice the scene like where Flash saves Iris West eventually, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Do you know the truck that went through there? Did you notice that it said? Not Gardner Fox on the truck. On that truck, it said Gardner Fox. I mean, that's like a little Easter egg. Stuff like that he threw in that fans notice. Gardner Fox was the creator of the Justice League, right? Those
those are the
those
fun
little
things.
Easter eggs that he throws in.
Those are the fun things that any
Yeah.
a good comic book director is gonna and team's gonna put in, are some of those little nooks and crannies in there.
Mhm.
That I'll be honest, I'm not the guy who's gonna know all those little things. I rely on other YouTubers and people to write columns so I can read them and consume it and go and sound intelligent the next time on video and go, hey, did you know?
It was a guy going. Like I had no problem with the runtime. Clearly I'm a fan, but I'm thinking about I have no problem with the runtime, especially when you think about the comparisons to the Justice League. So, for example, I did scratch my head at the singing when Aquaman went into the water, but I would rather have that and make it have that epic feeling that they worship him as a god instead of having a picture of him on the wall with the mother boxes. That was in the other version, which made no sense. So I prefer the long drawn out version, but it's still compelling as opposed to just a quick, let's throw that there and just keep the movie moving. I think for me, the biggest win is that we were presented with an uncompromised vision by a Hollywood studio, and the impact that the fans made with like the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. But seeing an uncompromised vision from beginning to end, whether it's 4 hours, whether it's 6 hours, just lucky that we got a good movie out of it and not just a bloated version, the director's cut, because there are some director's cuts that are just horrible.
Yeah,
I'm just happy that we got an uncompromised vision from beginning to end, and I think that's a win. If Hollywood were to let other visionaries and other directors like take the reins off, let them just it's just weird because it's their money, right? But let them see it from beginning to end. That's what you hire a director for. You can't hire a director and be like, you can do whatever you want, except this. It's just insane.
Yeah, no, I do have a question though. For you guys, I thought something that struck me as kind of weird in the Snyder Cut that I just didn't quite get, and that was so Darkseid. I like the fact that they brought Darkseid in as opposed to making Steppenwolf be this kind of, well, why is he here type of thing. At least we got some explanations why. But so we get that scene with Darkseid and them invading or coming to the Earth early on and fighting all the combined forces of the Amazons and the Atlanteans and all the whole
Ares
right?
and
the gods, the men,
and they're there because he's there. He finds the life, whatever, anti-life equation and all this other stuff. But he forgets that that's the same place as where the mother boxes were. His only defeat in battle and stuff. So he's so shocked and surprised when he gets told that, hey, I found the anti-life equation at the same place as these mother boxes, and he's all shocked and surprised by that. How does he not know the only time he got his ass whooped was at the same place where both existed before? Yeah.
I have to raise my hand on this one.
I didn't. Maybe I missed something. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. I think that we were presented with a younger, inexperienced Darkseid. So maybe when he landed on Earth, he didn't even know what the anti-life equation was because remember, this was like ages and ages ago. So maybe that was one of his earlier defeats. They didn't do a good job of explaining it. But that was
because I thought that's what that carving was on the Earth's surface, because that's what Steppenwolf says, it's carved into the Earth's surface, and they were fighting all amongst all them. How does he not know this?
Yes, I didn't know what it was until Steppenwolf said it that he found it. So that's one of those fill in the blanks. So I'm guessing that Darkseid didn't know what it was. It just happened to be there.
In 4-hour movies, how can you not fill in that blank, Jimmy?
Well, I mean, I think too, though, you have to consider this is the multiverse, and this is this expansive universe, and he probably didn't even know where he was at. He just showed up. I'm going to destroy this planet like I do everybody else. He gets hurt and he leaves. He doesn't even know where he's been.
So he takes a knock upside the head.
To have to come back. That's what I was going to say.
He takes a knock upside the head and he forgets.
He wasn't expecting to come back.
Concussion.
He has never lost a planet. When he shows up to a planet, it's a wrap. It's over. So he has never actually gone to a planet and had to come back. So
there you go. Look at that. They just called me out on that one. Do you say you want more backstory?
5 hours.
I'm just saying, maybe cut half an hour out somewhere else and explain and give me 20 minutes explaining to me what the hell. No,
well, I think too, Rob, though, because the plan was
right now.
Well, I think too, though, because part of the plan, right, was to have a second Justice League movie. which I think would have probably explained a lot of that.
Well, three, actually.
Yeah. So I think that it would have probably have explained a lot because, they set up Darkseid kind of like, Thanos did in the Avengers movies and all that. You just got glimpses of him as you went. You got a little more Darkseid here maybe than you did of Thanos in the beginning. But I think if they could have continued on with the Snyderverse, and maybe that comes back at some point, you may get the answers to some of those questions because I think it was just set up for that movie with the plan that they were going to do a couple more.
Yeah. No, that is a good point. Fables you're talking about. There really isn't a lot of people in this on the planet Earth in this movie. I
don't have a problem with that.
No, I mean, but
maybe passes by and extras. Give me Superman, give me Batman, give me Wonder Woman.
But think about it for a second. You're like, stop and think about it for a second. You just go.
Jimmy Olsen from the original Superman was in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was he's the cop that Lois meets with Larry, or I can't remember his name now. The cop that he meets at Superman's memorial. So that actor, I don't know his name, but that was Jimmy Olsen from the Christopher Reeve days.
I've never heard anyone ask for, that movie needed more extras in the background.
More extras.
Well, it's just, here is just epic war, and nobody's.
Well, during the epic war, there was plenty of extras, Rob. There was plenty of people in that battle. But they only needed the 5 members of the Justice League to put Steppenwolf in his place. They didn't need all those other guys.
And Steppenwolf, if we could talk about Steppenwolf.
He was great in this one.
Horrible in the Justice League. Cardboard cutout bad guy. I'm a bad guy because I'm evil.
Yes.
The way they presented him and gave him his backstory, fallen from the graces of his master Darkseid.
There's motivation.
Gave him motivation, which was amazing as opposed to that stupid ass cardboard cutout.
I agree. I criminally despise movies where the villain has no motivation.
Yeah.
Yes. He wanted to come home. He wanted to come back to his planet.
Look, this is my biggest problem with Batman versus Superman and all these, and is simply Lex Luthor. What was his, not to get onto a complete side tangent, what was his motivation in that whole thing of pitting those two motherfuckers against each other and bringing Doomsday to get out there and all this other stuff? What was the end game? At least in all the other movies, it was all about real estate with Lex Luthor.
Yeah. I mean, Lex had a motivation. He had a god complex, and he was presented with an actual god coming to Earth, and that totally crushed his god complex. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to use my wit and my intelligence to pit you guys against each other. Hopefully you kill each other, and then I'm back on top.
But then what do you do with your god killer you just created? I mean, I don't want to get into that whole movie, but I mean, these are the types. I'm just saying, ultimately, I agree with you. I hate villains that don't seem to have an apparent motivation, and you're absolutely right, DJ.
Thank you. Let's end on that note.
Hey, Rob, can I ask a question real quick? And it's something I was wondering about, like in the first, because obviously I pay a lot of attention to Superman, right? So in the first one, he is CGC'd out, right? Like he looks fake. And in this one, there was none of that. And I just wonder, in the first cut, or the theatrical cut, did they CGC all his scenes? Because, I mean, he looked CGC through the whole thing. I hadn't read anything about that. I was just wondering.
I think there was a lot of there was a lot of reshoots for Whedon that were done with Superman, and during that time he was doing the Mission Impossible stuff. Not all of it, but there was definitely a fair amount of it. And when I remember noticing it to some degree on the first time when I originally watched Justice League when it first came out, but I will say that it was painful to watch when I watched it just the other day, right before Snyder Cut came out.
It was horrible. And then even with that whole like the CGI mustache and stuff, but even some of the overdubbing. So in the Snyder Cut, when Lois and Superman are in the field and he speaks, that was the first time that he spoke since he came back from the dead. And he said something and Lois is like, "Oh, you spoke." And he's like, "I didn't used to before." And in the Whedon cut, they dubbed it. So she goes, "You smell good." And he goes, "I didn't before." Like, it's the stupidest thing in the world. Then I just wanted to make a point about Rob. You brought up BVS. I think this did a good job of validating some of the choices that Batman made in BVS. There's like, especially in the nightmare scene where some of the critique was like, oh, Batman is killing and shooting people in his own dream sequence, by the way, which doesn't make any sense. It's his fucking dream. But it showed in Justice League at the end in that epilogue scene that he went so far and took such drastic measures as to bury the hatchet with the Joker. For him to bury the hatchet with the Joker, he's at the end of his rope. Yeah, he's just going to do anything. So I think that did a good job of kind of validating his use of violence in Batman versus Superman.
Yep. Well, I do like the seeds, that whole epilogue, even though you're never going to probably get a chance to see where that was going to play out, to be able to at least understand some more of some of those elements, especially since after they made a point in the Snyder Cut of coming back to that Lois is the key thing, but then seemingly skipping over all of it during the movie. I was like, why did you make a point of bringing that up if you don't do anything to it, only to find out, well, yes, she's the key, but not for this. It's the key for something else.
Yeah. So then I don't know if any of you guys want to jump in. I'm just like happy to talk about this because
she was the key that broke Superman's back, right? When she died, that turned Superman. It took the Justice League's basically their heavy hitter off their team and turned them against them, and it really turned the whole tide of the world, really. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. So one of the things that I'm kind of going to deviate away from Lois Lane and Slot, you and I talked about this, like the theme. So the family theme with the parental figure and then the person. So you have Cyborg with his father, Batman with Alfred, the Flash with his dad in jail. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine you're Zack Snyder, and that's one of your main themes is family and that child-parent connection, and then your daughter commits suicide during that production. Like, that is such a mind fuck. Like, it's like insane. And for him to come back and finish that vision.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
right?
That's kind of that element of the fact of his element of here are these godlike individuals and but they're just trying to be normal people or trying to be down, which is kind of interesting. There was another thing that about in the change that was a little bit weird to me that maybe I'm just nitpicking again here, but in the Joss Whedon version, we have this sit down conversation between Martha Kent and Lois Lane, and they have this discussion about how she says to him that Clark thought that you never give up and blah 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 blah, and it basically encourages her to go back and get started with her career again and all this other stuff, and that's just Martha in there. But then in our sit down talk that we have in the Snyder Cut, it turns out after Martha Kent leaves, it's actually the Martian Manhunter who has this conversation, right? And okay, it's a nice way to introduce Martian Manhunter. He's trying to nudge things along stuff. But it really kind of changed the dynamic to me when all of a sudden Martha Kent then shows up when Superman's back alive at the farm out of the blue without there having been any diatribe between Lois and Martha Kent like there was in the other movie. I don't know. It's a minor thing, but it's just one of these things that kind of stuck me as a little bit odd.
Yeah, no, I think that's valid. That's one of the gripes that I had. I didn't like that Martian Manhunter was disguised as Martha Kent. That's just one of the things that I didn't like. And then it's just like, all right, Martian Manhunter, you're here seeing all this stuff going on and you're not helping. What is wrong?
Not doing anything?
It's trying to force the character in.
Yeah, so I didn't like that. But to your point about Martha Kent just showing up, they showed her a few scenes before when Superman on the news, she was working at the diner. And then they showed Superman all of a sudden is back from the dead on the news station. And all she did was go home. And
she got in her truck and drove straight home.
Yeah. All right. I missed that. Maybe I dozed off during that spot.
Maybe you did it for the TV one of your bathroom breaks.
I paused it for those, but I will tell you, I did each time I watched it, I did nod off here and there. So,
Rob Fat Stacks O Comics. There you sir.
Rob's like, yeah. And how big time was it, Rob, at the end when like Superman's like, well, how did you get my mom's house back from the bank? And Batman's like, I bought the bank.
Dude. Yeah, that makes me happy because that's just like old school Batman right there. Yeah, I just buy anything.
It totally changed my opinion though of Ben Affleck as Batman. Like it really did. Like I'm all about Batfleck now. I want to see what he put here.
No, Gary
Look, he starts this.
Spit my tea out. Jesus.
Yeah, look, Gary B in his comments, there will be just the suspects, Gary B. There will be no usual suspects. It'll just be me and Jason, and we'll add Rob and DJ for your Superman hate. Good Lord. No, but like it made me want to see a Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Yeah.
Like I want to see that now. I mean, like, and I didn't really care before. But as far as that goes, I really want to see what Ben Affleck and then Alfred, that whole relationship. I love that.
I agree, Mr. Conjelly.
Yeah, I did. I never disliked the Batfleck. I didn't think he was necessarily the greatest, but I didn't dislike him at all. And the thing I understood how he was portraying him based on the narrative of here's a guy who's been doing this for 20 years and just he's a tortured, lost everything essentially. But he this kind of almost a redemption cycle for him to start off by showing him as just this guy who's gone off the rails to I owe it to Superman. Superman has shown me the light. Yeah. And that he's not what I was led to believe he was, and what we can be better, and we can be beacons, and we can instill hope. And I need to do that because I owe it to him. Because God damn it, I feel responsible for killing them.
Yeah,
well, he kind of was in a way.
That's a perfect point. The only thing that I wish, so when Superman is fighting the rest of the Justice League, and then Batman rolls up and Superman eye lasers him. I wish Batman would have just been like smart enough to just go, Martha. So just say the name, like, come on, Batman. That's what ended your fight before.
Well, they had to just bring those things into play back, into the movie to, make that scene justifiable earlier.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. Martha.
And the end scene, right? It was so much better than the Whedon version. It was a completely different fight. The whole cyborg flying through there, lasering the buildings down, and
I think that was probably one of my favorite just like scenes of Cyborg just flying and the buildings just crumbling behind them, falling on the parademons. Woo! I gotta go, guys. I'm about to go watch this Justice League again.
It was. I will tell you, as much as everyone likes to talk about the build up and the backstory part for the Flash, and I loved that stuff.
Yeah.
But to see the Flash not be a scared little puppy with his tail tucked between his legs throughout the movie and just save one person and just hide around the periphery, but to be an active participant throughout the whole thing and engage everything else, even though he's young, and yeah, he should be a little bit scared to some degree, but throughout the thing, I thought that was by far one of the better changes overall.
Flash overall and Cyborg. The Flash and Cyborg were two different characters in this movie.
Cyborg was so much more that I can't even compare it to the other because it's really a completely different character than the first film.
Yep.
The Flash, it was still pieces of it, but it was just completely different perception of, a presentation of the character.
Yeah, having the Flash in the Whedon version, being that scared, timid guy, I just save one person at a time. Like, it didn't make any sense. If he went through the lengths of building his superhero costume, I'm pretty sure he was saving people in his regular street clothes.
Yeah.
Similar to Peter Parker. And then he was like, you know what? Let me build a costume, a suit with all this stuff that's going to protect me while I'm doing this already. So it made no sense that he would have a full getup and not save people or not know how to save people.
Right, because we saw his shoes just explode off his feet on that little pivot. This poor Chuck Taylor's. But,
that was that was amazing. The finger in the glass.
Yeah.
Wow.
Boosh.
Yeah, like Liquid when he skidded on the asphalt.
Oh,
like,
the asphalt's just like.
No, it was. All right,
how gentle he had to be.
Maybe
I like it a little. Iris.
I want. Sorry, Jimmy, you've been so.
Oh,
quiet.
You're fine. Go ahead.
No, please take the stage, sir.
Oh no, I was just talking. You guys were talking about the Flash, and I thought it was cool too. Like DJ said, when he's coming on the pavement, but too when he's saving Iris, how gentle he has to be. Like when he touched the glass, it exploded. So when he gets a hold of her, he has to, kind of gently move her around in the slow mo that people hate. Now, my favorite part, though, was two things. One, when Superman shows up, when Steppenwolf's about to put the axe in the cyborg, and all of a sudden Superman
Wait a second,
steps
that's a
in
hot
and catches
take.
it.
I want to make sure we all got that hot take. Jimmy's favorite part was when Superman showed up. Okay, got it.
Yeah. But when he does that, and then he's like, I'm not impressed. But then, really, at the end, when they're standing on each side of that boom tube, and the Justice League standing there like, yeah, what? And they throw Steppenwolf and his head through the boom tube, and Darkseid just catches it with his foot and crushes it. I was like, damn. Yeah, that's my kind of villain right there. Because that was
like
awesome.
that guy. He's like, that dude means nothing to me.
Dude, tossing someone's head through the portal like that, is that not the ultimate mic drop or what?
Yeah, that was crazy. It was funny. So on the first watch, when Cyborg had the vision of Wonder Woman dying, Darkseid killing Aquaman, fantastic sequence. I didn't catch that he was killing Aquaman because I was so blinded by the his rays coming out his eyes and bouncing and disintegrating that other dude. And I rewinded and I kept watching the thing go from Darkseid to the guy that got disintegrated. I didn't catch on that was Aquaman until at my second viewing, and then I was like, "Yo, that's Aquaman!" And my wife was just like, "Duh, that's what Mira said."
Gary, comic book physics. I mean, to some extent, there's some truth to that, but comic book physics. But the other piece was like you were going back to. He's being careful with stuff because you're touching people at that speed, equal and opposite reactions.
Yeah, that's the
the same way that Red Sonja doesn't get chafing from wearing chainmail bikinis. That's how.
Yeah, well, there you go, folks.
Well played.
Boom.
I can see that things are getting heated here.
That would be equivalent of Steppenwolf's head flying through the portal.
So I think let's go around. I think we already have established here. Jason, 2 thumbs up.
Oh, I don't have any.
You don't have enough thumbs. Let's just stick with the thumbs. All right, and let's and no other appendages. Thanks.
Okay,
DJ, I'm looking at you.
I loved it. Speaking of thumbs, did you guys catch that Steppenwolf had 6 fingers?
I did not pay that much attention to count fingers.
Damn it, Rob. What movie were you watching, sir?
The inside of my eyelids half the time.
2 thumbs up. I think this movie, man, it's such a feat. So it's just not your normal, typical movie, and it's not anything to do with DC Marvel, but it's like something on the scale of like the Lord of the Rings movies, where there's just this like grand scale, and they try to force that epicness to it. This was epic. It was on a grand scale, lots of character development, and the spectacle of it wasn't the driving force behind the movie. It was actually the story and the connections with the characters, and 1,000,000 thumbs up. Super fire.
I do love this little comment before I get to you there, Jimmy. The super Aquaman in his shirts thing that they got going on here. So I did know is a little bit annoying. The man comes out of the ocean with a shirt, but before he goes back in the ocean, I have to take my shirt off.
Yeah.
What's weird about that? I do that every day. When I walk out of the office, I just rip my shirt off. I don't know.
Yeah, but you got a big S on underneath there, and you fly off. So that's all right. Or is it a big W for whiskey?
No, it's absolutely an S.
To the still.
To the still.
All right, Jimmy. Thumbs up.
Oh no,
thumbs
two thumbs up for me all the way. For me, it just goes to show it's an absolute shame that Warner Brothers or whoever put out that theatrical release that they did that to that movie, because it was. I mean, as far as like hating Justice League, I pretty much like anything that Superman's in. I can't help it. It wasn't great, but this was so. It was just so good. I just couldn't believe how much I liked it. Like, I thought I would love it. Of course, I'm a DC fan. But when I finished watching that, I was like, damn, has it been 4 hours? Like, I didn't even realize it had been 4 hours. And I was like, my God, that was great. And I just couldn't believe how I felt. I even cried a little bit at the end when they did the dad thing. And, I got a little emotional. I don't know.
Did a tribute to his daughter.
Yeah. And it kind of hit me. Just the whole thing. It was great. It was great to see a DC movie live up to what I hoped it would be. And no, it was awesome.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately at the end of the day, I give it like a 1.5 the 2 thumbs. I mean, I'm borderline giving it 2 thumbs, and mostly just because I think it could have been cleaned up a little bit. Not that there's anything wrong with it. You guys are right though. The time does move along fairly well. I just think that we could have probably shaved 20 minutes off of it here or there. Still made it a great film. It's a very different film, and I think the only reason why I knock it at all is that timing and the fact that people. I'm knocking it for everybody else, who's comparing it to the other, when in reality it's just a completely different film. Now, if we want to do comparisons, my question is this: are you going to now go watch it now that the black and white version has been released?
It has.
So I have heard. Now I haven't gone on HBO Max, but today, while I've been working, in my newsfeed popped up that HBO Max there's a black and white gray version now available to watch and stream.
I will probably watch it.
Back in time to watch a black and white film when it just came out and blew my mind in color, and
So now I can watch.
Logan, right?
So now I can be cranky and complain about a 4:3 black and white picture on my goddamn high definition television. Can I?
It comes with rabbit ears for you.
Can I just have to get up partway through and adjust the rabbit ears and fine tune the UHF dial, get a little snow action in there, maybe just to complete the whole experience? I'll go heat up a Jiffy Pop.
Get some Ovaltine,
some Tang.
I drink Tang every day, like legit. Like Tang is my shit.
It was for me back in the day as a kid in the 70s, but
like, matter of fact, I'm drinking Tang right now.
The Justice is gray version. There you go. Thank you, Nick.
That doesn't make any sense. The black and white version releasing so soon too. Like it kind of doesn't.
Well, because you guys are already having to watch it 4 times, so they got to release something else.
Yeah, no.
Keep you at it, interested. I don't know. All right. Well, I think that's great, guys. I appreciate our superhero pals joining us today, Jimmy and DJ. Thank you very much coming on here and being a part of the show today. It is much appreciated to have people such as yourselves. Jason, of course, as always, my brother from another mother. Until next time, guys, make sure you collect what you want. Don't listen to anybody, including us, because we're all fat men with fat stacks of comics and fat opinions.
High five, Jimmy.
Wait. Oh, here we go.
There you go. Oh, man.
Wonder Twin powers activate. Shape of. Good night, folks.
Peace.
Oh, by the way, this is the end of the show. That means my mystery boxes are now available on sale. I'm going to post it on Instagram. 10 slots open. Good luck.